What's one type you'll never date again? Before you start with the first story, please hit subscribe and ring notification bell to stay updated with us. Story 1. The firm "this is just how I am" type that has proven time and time again that someone is set in their ways, excuses their toxic behavior, and takes no effort to look introspectively at themselves or how they affect others around them. That's not to say that this is always a bad thing. I'm all about being who you are, but I draw the line at never looking into who you are or why because you've given up on trying for yourself. Story 2. Lies make everything bad. I've had somebody close to me be a compulsive liar. Not in a relationship but it's had some crazy far-reaching consequences. Affected all manner of relationships. Not even between me and them, but me and other members of my family, etc. It's just not good. It's ruined my ability to even take people overly seriously. I see embellishments in stories all the time. I don't believe people when they say things. It really messes with your mind. Story 3. The tall, conventionally attractive dude who totally isn't dating below his league because he wants desperate girls who are easier to manipulate and abuse because they feel lucky they got attention from a hot person. Most other types I avoid. I never dated a first time, but this one fooled me a couple times before I learned. Story 4. I thought love language was total hokum until I dated someone who didn't crave the same physical contact I did. I could make her infinitely happy by getting her a cup of coffee, but physical contact did absolutely nothing for her. I'm the total opposite. It was a lesson learned. Story 5. The skater boy type that start each unemployed day with a black coffee and half-pack of light blue American Spritz before he goes to the skate park. Commando in his 3-day unwashed, sweaty double-knee dickies just to stomp his board in half because he can't land a trick. No, not traumatized. You're traumatized. Story 6. Horse girls. Used to spend $800 a month helping my ex-wife with her passion. We were both making like $25,000 to $30,000 a year then. But hey, I really didn't mind. I loved the hell out of that woman. Then she left me for her coworker literally the day after I brought up. For the first time in our 7 years together, the idea of, hey, maybe we can figure out a way to cut these horse expenses. We can't afford to take care of 2 horses on our income. She stormed out, didn't come home until 2 a.m., and left the next day. Never came back. Then 1 year later, I got a career opportunity making 6 figures and she's still poor AF. I would have been happy to keep supporting her for the rest of our lives. But bye. Sucks to suck. Sucks to be a narcissist. Story 7. The stay up late and sleep through the day type. I'm not talking night shift people. I'm talking about the people who are willing and able to stay up till 2 a.m. and then sleep till 2 p.m. I get tired at nighttime, and then my brain wakes me up at stupid o'clock regardless of when I went to bed. It also ruins the day because they want breakfast and you think it's too late for a lunch date. Story 8. Clingy. I thought it would be cute and romantic when I got into my first, and so far only, relationship, which with someone who openly described herself as clingy. I was not allowed to spend any time away from her unless it was well planned in advance, and she tried to separate me from my family. I loved the shit out of her, but she consumed my life and broke my heart when I tried to take some control back. Never. Again. Story 9. There's this type of men who are convinced they're going to get rich very soon solely by investing their money in crypto. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that investing is a bad idea. What bothers me is the fact that these men are usually money-hungry AF but at the same time way too lazy to get an education and actually work to get a decent wage. They're desperate for luxury but expect to achieve this goal by the easiest means possible. They think they're smarter than everyone else because they choose to spend their late 20s and early 30s smoking weed and investing wisely instead of working a regular 9-to-5 job. It's a gross mixture of greediness, laziness, and deluded confidence that gives me the ick. Story 10. The type that talks to every female that shows him the time of day. The one that lies and tells you you're the only one he's interested in. The one that becomes too busy to talk to you out of nowhere, and then pops up with a girlfriend shortly after. After he met your parents and took you out on a date and made you his girlfriend the week before, and then never really talks to you again. Tells you you were never his girlfriend. And then, on the rare occasion you see each other in public, decides to stare at you when you're within view of him, all the while behind his girlfriend. That type. By the way, all the same person. That girlfriend didn't last long. He had 2 more, I think, after her. Engaged to someone now who's my age. He's about 5 years older. Yes, I'm legal. For the last 2 or 3 years. I don't wish bad on him, but I want nothing to do with him anymore. I still want to see him eat, just not at my table kind of thing. Story 11. Aside from the obvious cheater, liar, emotionally unavailable stuff. 1. The ones who only listen and say nothing themselves. I know the popular idea is that girls want a guy who would listen to them and never interrupt. But as a talkative woman myself, I find that if I date someone too quiet, then not only am I the only one dragging the whole conversation and the whole relationship, but also I learned by now that too quiet guys tend to have their own emotional baggages that you don't find out until it's too late. It's fine if he is generally a quite an introverted type person, but he has to be comfortable blabbering with me. I don't find you have to let him open up a reasonable excuse. It is okay if someone is that type, but it's not for me, and I'm not going to be putting extra stress on myself to try to get a man to. 2. Men who have a pattern of women who are not like me. Could be a specific ethnicity, style, aesthetic, culture, lifestyle. Anything that gives me the vibe of he has a type. And it's not me, and I don't give a damn how much he tries to convince me that I'm exceptional. Story 12. The high drama women who are always gunning for a fight. They're always mad at somebody. As soon as they patch things up, someone will say some innocuous thing to them that on any other day would have passed without notice. But in that day, there'll be a conspiracy theorist, overanalyzing every tone, facial tick, and syllable until they conclude they were insulted somehow. Then the new feud begins. You will inevitably become the target. You will spend your time walking on eggshells around them, unsure if there's a feud vacuum on any given day. These people are not happy unless they are fighting with someone. They literally cannot stand not having an enemy. They think in total black and white, with me or against me terms. Whenever I meet someone like this and it becomes clear this is the kind of person they are, I ditch them. No contact. I can't handle someone where the rules are constantly changing without warning. Nobody is worth losing my sanity over. They might say if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve my best. But to that I say if I can't handle you at your worst, your best is probably shit, and I don't want that either. Story 13. The high drama women who are always gunning for a fight. They're always mad at somebody. As soon as they patch things up, someone will say some innocuous thing to them that on any other day would have passed without notice. But in that day, there'll be a conspiracy theorist, overanalyzing every tone, facial tick, and syllable until they conclude they were insulted somehow. Then the new feud begins. You will inevitably become the target. You will spend your time walking on eggshells around them, unsure if there's a feud vacuum on any given day. These people are not happy unless they are fighting with someone. They literally cannot stand not having an enemy. They think in total black and white, with me or against me terms. Whenever I meet someone like this, and it becomes clear this is the kind of person they are, I ditch them. No contact. I can't handle someone where the rules are constantly changing without warning. Nobody is worth losing my sanity over. They might say if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve my best. But to that I say if I can't handle you at your worst, your best is probably shit, and I don't want that either. Story 14. Clingy with poor people skills and victim mentality. Can't really know these things until you've dated a few months. She managed to make the worst first impression on my friends possible and get pissed that they didn't like her. Burn bridges with half her friends, classmates, and co-workers. And I had to hear all about how it's all everyone else's fault and that she's a blameless victim. Then to top it all off, she simply did not respect my time spent without her, even though we'd be together 4 to 5 days a week. And she'd be trying to text me non-stop to the point where I can't physically do anything else. She later had the audacity to complain that I didn't do enough for her, when in reality I did everything she asked, and she did nothing but receive. After our breakup, just proceeded to lie to all her family and friends about me, saying I'd abused her physically and mentally, even going as far as posting text bombs on social media. which by the way is filled with other stories of her complaining about everything else in her life. Truly an unstoppable force of negative energy. Story 15. Alcoholics or other substance abuse. I don't have addictions beyond coffee, but somehow I keep finding people addicted to something every single time. I guess I'm attracted to a type and I hate it. I'm working with a therapist on it now. Story 16. The misunderstood, depressed loner, low self-esteem, insecure, no friends, the whole world has done him wrong, is so honest, works so hard but gets nothing. His horrible, crazy, cheating ex traumatized him. Spends all his time at home on his computer-type guys. The victims. I've given a few a chance. In my experience, they will cheat. They will lie. They will leech off of you and treat you like shit while taking responsibility for none of it. Worst mistake of my life. Destroyed me mentally. Bled me dry. And they don't care at all. Story 17. A man that's 20 years older than me. I thought I was too cool for smelling myself, that he was such a great catch. No, he was not. He was my boss, married, had a girlfriend in 5 different cities in our state and Missouri, not to mention. He was an alcoholic with obvious ed that I had no earthly idea how to deal with. But I did care a great deal for him, so I'd convince myself, and after on-off working in his office for 2 years being treated like royalty, compared to all the other office staff, I finally had my heart. Smarten up a flew straight out of there. I do still think of him though. Story 18. I just don't think I'll ever date anyone again, in general. I was in a 12-year relationship with my ex, would have been 15 years, but we broke up for 3 years in the middle. And she died, suicide, 3 years after we went our separate ways. The idea of entering any new relationship feels exhausting and just not worthwhile. I value my autonomy and independence like never before. I read a NY Times article recently which described the concept of solo poly, where you remain a single person who occasionally hooks up with different partners. I guess that'll be me. If I ever regain any interest in connecting with other humans romantically again. Story 19. Guy into sports. All day Sunday gone. I worked Monday, Saturday, and Sunday was my only day off. We could do nothing or go anywhere because of football, basketball, whatever ball. He'd spend the entire day drinking and watching the TV. That was not the life I wanted or would tolerate. Story 20. Musicians, particularly rock, metal musicians. I managed to find a good one in a sea of arrogant Dutchery. As an alt lady, that was my dating pool. It was one tragedy after another. One got high as fuck and had to be kicked out of my house. If my partner dies or we split, I ain't doing that shit again. No thank